Bam, 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 bam. We are live. What's going on? Talking Giants live stream. Myself, Justin Penik. We're going to have Shaun Morash in here from CBS Sports and WFAN in a couple minutes. So we'll allow people to get in. Hey, I heard my voice through your phone. So we'll allow people to seep in, getting ready for the season, getting pumped, getting nervous and pumped. I know you said you were nervous earlier, right, Justin?
Yeah, big time.
Is it like more nervous than usual for a week one game, or is it just like it's the Wednesday before week one and I'm nervous?
No, it's more nervous than usual because the Giants have expectations to win this year.
Yeah,
so,
that's fair.
Unlike years past where, I am excited. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, I'm not excited. I'm just nervous and I don't want them to play. No, so I'm going to wake up Sunday morning and, head to the stadium Sunday afternoon. It's 4:00 game. Remember, 4:30 game. Remember that. I'm going to head to the stadium Sunday afternoon and I'm going to be really excited. I'm going to think that we're going to win. But right now, just the Nate Solder news is kind of throwing me off too, because that was not the plan. And that's really thrown me off. And it's getting me flashbacks to 2019 where, Solder single-handedly lost us some games in 2019. So I'm getting bad flashbacks.
Yeah, our preview pod, like I said, it's going to be like 10 minutes of us bitching about Nate Solder, sandwiched by 40 minutes of us just being pumped for week one. Yeah. Here, so before we bring in Shaun, I want to ask you. I want to get on you a little bit. So you are now doing a podcast covering your high school football team.
Yeah. Yes.
You are a scumbag for taking away Player of the Week. Someone probably had like 150. I saw it was a big win for St. Peter's Prep. Some kid probably had like 150 rushing yards or a sack, a nice interception, and you gave it to some special teams kid to be like, "Ooh, I like special teams." You took that away from some like big time rusher. Like, I'm going to be player of the game. Like, if I was the running back on St. Peter's Prep, I would hate Justin Penik. I would be like, this damn media doesn't know what they're talking about.
All right, well, listen. So, State of the Marauders podcast. I went to St. Peter's Prep in Jersey City, and my buddy Renato Rodriguez, who is the team reporter, he gets paid. He gets paid to be the team reporter for St. Peter's Prep Athletics, which is, it's a big-time high school in Jersey City. It's a big-time high school in New Jersey. I have a spot. I do like a little 20-minute spot of recapping every game that Prep plays, and so far they played 2. Outscored their opponents 110-8 to start the season. So, yeah, I gave player of the game to a guy that was on. So why I did it, though, Bobby, like, you got to think of these kids. These are high school kids, and these are kids. I wanted to give somebody run and play who had a really good game, gave really good individual effort, even got in there on defense because Prep was blowing him out, rather than a guy who we talk about every single week and who could get player of the game every single week on the podcast. That was also my mentality there, too. But I have been talking about special teams way too much, and Joe Judge's like influences oozing onto me, and I don't like it.
No doubt. Oh, we got NYG Daily in here. What's going on? We got Kid Blue, Brian Porass. We got a lot of people in here. All right, so we're going to welcome on. Before that, subscribe to Talking Football. We're going to be live streaming tomorrow's Thursday night game, which I'm really excited for on that channel. So I just put the link in there. Subscribe to that. We are bringing on of CBS Sports, WFAN. He hosts his own Giants podcast. Shaun Morash. Shaun, 1, welcome to the program. 2,
good to be on.
I'm gonna start off with the question. So you allowed us to be on WFAN, which, that's a big deal for us. That was cool, and we are thankful. So I don't want you to rate it. How would your producer, who probably maybe not been the most familiar with us, rate our appearance on WFAN?
I would say a solid. How about a 6 out of 10 on a hard grade? Number 1, he's a Jet fan. I do have to give him that. Number 2, I got to be honest, man. There's a little bit of a new wave catching at WFAN. We have some new management that's taken over. There's some new stuff happening. A lot of new voices are being heard. So I tried to continue with that. So I'm a big fan of your guys', obviously, as a Giants fan. So I figured it was a perfect spot to, kind of run a little creative and offense, more so than Jason Garrett would, instead of having the local beat writers on. Let's go. Let's have the Talking Giants guys on. I thought it went well. I would say the one Taliban joke was a little rough. And had I been in studio,
that's who we are. I can't stray off from who we are.
I know. I look, in full disclosure, I was doing it from my home studio. Had I been in studio, I might have hit the dump button. It may not have gone over the air, but it went over the air, and I didn't get any fallback on it. So I guess it was fine.
Yeah, as long as I didn't get you in trouble, I'm happy. I can always handle trouble. Like, there was one time where I was looking to be in trouble, and I wasn't like, I don't care about these people, but it's like, I don't feel like having John Boy getting the blowback. But anyways, we're here to talk about Giants and answer people's questions.
Let's go.
And we have a super chat. I want to ask you, do you think Saquon can kick a guy's head clean off by star with the dog face?
Do you want to know why that's funny? Do you want to know why that's funny? I did a talking football video today where I ranked the top 5 best running backs in the National Football League and the one worst. And I did an animation where I brought Saquon into the screen and I was in front of a green screen and he kicked me in the head. So I wonder if this is any correlation to watching that video.
I've never been more jealous of a leg muscle on a man, right? So I think you can kick your head clean off, Justin. So when your quads look like that, I think you can kick anybody's head clean off.
Yeah. He probably, like, Josh Allen had a quote where he's like, "I think I could kill someone with my, like throwing a ball at their temple." But let's get into some real stuff.
He did.
Yeah, he did. It was pretty funny.
Okay.
But Sean, when we talked with you last week, it was before we hadn't seen the starters yet, or at least not as a unit. Since then, Nate Solder has been named the starter on the unofficial depth chart, but he's going to be starting. Where are you at compared to before that preseason game with the Giants? Because before then, it was, not through the moon, but we were positive, feeling good about this team. I feel like it's kind of reality may have sunken in a little bit, but I still do think there should be some expectations.
I've clicked right into regular season roller coaster of emotions mode. I was really down for like an hour after that game, although I thought that Daniel Jones played a lot better than people gave him credit for. It was mainly the offensive line that bothered me, but my pendulum has swung back around. Look, everybody who was at the practices in Cleveland said these guys had played well versus Myles Garrett and company, so those don't count. We're throwing them out because of whatever over technique might have happened with Andrew Thomas versus the Patriots. So and the second half of last year was real games, and we saw that Andrew Thomas absolutely improved, and he's not going to continue to improve. So, look, am I less confident than maybe I was? Sure, but I do think the panic over a preseason game, because that was our only chance to really watch with our eyes, was a little much. And, oh, by the way, and I'm sure we'll get to this too, speaking of that, I mean, Von Miller hasn't had a great year now in 3 years. And what, we're going to pretend the Denver Broncos, suddenly the Kansas City Chiefs coming in here? I mean, the panic has got to calm down off of that Patriot game.
I agree 100%. Like, the opponent matter. If we were Von Miller and Bradley Chubb, and Chubb might not even play, are not like facing TJ Watt and Bud Dupree last year. Like you said, Von Miller didn't play last year. He wasn't, he's been in a decline. Now he still would be like the best pass rusher on our team by far. Chubb has been good, but he hasn't been like some top pass rusher in the league, and he's battling with an ankle injury, and that that matters. So I do at the same time. It's like, remember who we're playing. Like, the Broncos could be sneaky good, but they're not going to be good. Like, we should be able to beat this team. So,
right. By the way, they have to score too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's okay if our defense is awesome and we takes a little bit for the offense to get going and we win. Wins are what matters early. How many times do we start off 0-1, 0-2, 0-3? Enough of that. If our defense carries us and we win 19-13, then cool. Like, whatever. Let's just get wins early.
Yeah, and I might be a hypocrite with this, but like in the win versus Seattle, we spent the second part of the episode like critiquing, like, hey, I understand we won, this is fun, have fun, but like this Jason Garrett offense is an issue.
Right.
Win ugly. I don't care how ugly they win on. Like, I just want a week 1 win. I don't care how ugly it is, because if it looks ugly, I will. That's the 1 week where I'll say they're just getting their, they're knocking the rust off. They need to get some continuity together. Week 1, just give me an ugly win, but it has to be a win. Justin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Sean, part of the things, maybe, touch on the guys that we haven't seen this preseason, and, all the guys that are going to be on the football field for the first time this Sunday. One guy on the defense side of the ball, Dory Jackson, and someone definitely a lot on the offensive side. When reflecting on this preseason, when reflecting on the summer, the guys that are going to be on the football field this Sunday have not been on the field. And the one guy that's not going to be, Evan Ingram, most likely, that may even be a good thing for this Giants team to have 2 tight ends out there that can block well and that can actually be intermediate options. So, touch on that. All these guys that are going to be out there for the Giants this Sunday for the first time.
Yeah, there was a reason we all went nuts in the offseason, and it was, I think last year being 6-10 and being in the division, I think a lot of people said, well, you're only high because the division was bad. No, I was high because they lost so many close games, Rams, Bucks, and they never really were out of it unless there were, those handful of games, Arizona and the 49ers. The reason we got excited was piggybacking off of that. They had this kind of offseason. And if we were that excited for this kind of offseason and we didn't see those offseason pieces in the preseason, then how could we suddenly be negative and assume it's the same old, same old? So we're just going to throw out all the enthusiasm we had because we didn't see literally any of the guys that they had in the offseason that we thought were going to be big players. We didn't see any of them versus the Patriots. So that just doesn't matter now. That we assume that doesn't matter because Jason Garrett's offense will always stink. And oh, by the way, I remember being a Giant fan during Tom Coughlin days where Eli Manning would look really terrible, and the offense would look really terrible in the preseason. And Giant fans had no problem saying, "Well, you don't show your real offense in the preseason; it's so vanilla." But now we are just showing a real offense. So, I mean, how hypocritical are we as a fan base? Maybe we are, maybe we won't. We won't. And I know Garrett hasn't earned the benefit of the doubt, but let's see him out there with Kadarius Toney, with Kenny Golladay, with Kyle Rudolph not dropping balls in the red zone, and Saquon freaking Barkley. Let's see that first before we're panicking. And by the way, good weapons can alleviate some offensive line problems, by the way, too, by not stacking the box and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm excited. Where are you at with Kadarius Toney? Because it's been such a weird start, and it's like we really haven't seen him. But at the same time, it's like go back and watch his stuff from the Gators. Like there was a reason, even if you didn't want him drafted, there was a reason why he was drafted there. He does things that most football players can't do. What are you expecting out of him versus Denver?
So, first of all, I'm expecting him to be the kick returner one. He has to be, right?
Yes, please.
He has to be. The idea, and I've been against this in the past with spending first-round picks and having them go return kicks because you don't want to see them get hurt. Here's the beauty of Kadarius Toney. Because they have Kenny Golladay, because they have Darius Slay, because, we know the name, Sterling Shepard, he doesn't have to go out there and be wide receiver one the way Odell Beckham had to be when he was drafted. I'm not trying to compare the two, but find a way to get the ball in his hands. And also, he doesn't have the pressure on him because he doesn't have to be the go-to guy right away. So I think I maybe a month ago felt, I don't know what kind of year Tony's going to have. And now I'm like, hey, just put the ball in his hands because there's no way a defense can really focus on him and do all that. And if he's returning kicks and he's smart enough that when there is a returnable ball, he's not fumbling the football, which, by the way, our special teams better be unbelievably awesome with all we put into it. And he's getting the ball to the 35 or maybe he breaks a big kick return for a touchdown, Ron Dixon style or something like that. That could be the difference in one of these tight games going back and forth. So I don't know. Everything I've read now about Kadarius Toney this week, I'm excited to see him again because it is a shiny new toy. And okay, so he didn't play a few series versus the Browns and Patriots, and maybe that matters in getting his feet under him. But again, the pressure isn't there for him to be the first pick, first pick receiver, be the number one receiver right away, and I think that helps him.
That's a
Can
good
you
point
play
about the
O-line,
pressure.
Tom Tyes?
Oh, can you play O-line?
I actually play center for my Long Island Flag football team, but no, I feel like I would get annihilated by Aaron Donald or actually, frankly, anybody who sucks in the NFL on the D-line. I'm pretty sure Austin Johnson would completely eat me alive as well.
Justin also played center, so one of you needs to transition to guard, and we need to make some type of video where we do a half out. Like I'll play tackle, one of you plays guard, and then you know what, Sean? You know what? You're more professional than us, so you could be the center. Me and Justin probably have some better one-on-one chemistry, so he can be guard, I'll be tackle, and we got to figure out some type of video to make offensive line interesting. Maybe we'll get Gates and like Thomas or somebody to come out with us or something.
And then all five of us play in Hog Molly's t-shirts. I think that's the way to go about it.
Very good. I you know what? We're gonna send you a Hogs Molly t-shirt since you brought that up. So everyone go buy the Hogs Molly shirt. So Michael Smith asks, who do you think is this year's breakout player?
Ooh. We going to me first on that?
Yeah, we'll send it to you.
So breakout player is interesting because it could be a situation where you're kind of waiting for a guy to finally come along. I think my breakout player actually is going to be Will Hernandez on a contract year. And I know that's not sexy as an offensive line spot, but I think all this panic about losing Kevin Zeitler and Will Hernandez last year obviously wasn't good, got the COVID, got benched, got the COVID. I hate saying it like that. But I think we are at a point around Thanksgiving where I really believe we're talking about Will Hernandez as a potential Pro Bowler this year. So if that counts as a breakout player, that is what I'm going with. That's
definitely a break. And look at Denver, Garrett Bowles. It took him a while. It took him to year 4 to become that guy. And I kind of love Bowles' story. Guy was expelled 10 times out of high school, and now he's like a top NFL player. I always remember his draft night was so funny. We were cracking up at it. He had a young kid, and you have a young kid too, but he was just holding him up in the air like Simba. What is he doing? This is weird. But
and by the way, we came out of Evan Ingram in that draft. So who would you rather? Garrett Bowles, Evan Ingram.
Yeah, and I remember being pumped up, being like, no one's going to stop me with the Giants on Madden that year. Brandon Marshall, Evan Ingram added to the team. I'm going to say Dex because he's already good.
Mm.
But year 3 with players like Dex, I think Dexter Lawrence really is going to break out this year. And people who like NFL guys who like watch film, when they watch the Giants, like, man, Dexter Lawrence is kind of like really good. I think this year, like the entire NFL is going to be like, this Dexter Lawrence guy is a real deal, and that's why they draft him in the first round.
By the way, could have way more sacks than people think too.
Yeah, I mean, for what he is, like he knows how to get to the QB and finish plays. Where almost all the guys his size, they just can't finish plays. They can win a rep, but they can't finish plays.
Absolutely.
I think the Giants are going to blitz a lot more this year, so then you're going to see a lot more quarterbacks doing 3-step drops instead of 5-step drops when the Giants would play a lot of cover 3 last year. We're constantly, teams are looking down the field to find an explosive play. I think that's what Seattle did against Russell. When Russell Wilson was going up against us, just sitting back there, looking for a big play. Leonard Williams comes in, gets a sack. But this year, I think it's going to change a little bit, where if the Giants are going to blitz a little bit more, you can't be doing those 5-step drops. You got to get the ball out more quick. And I think Dexter Lawrence is able to penetrate the pocket that way where the quarterback is actually closer to him. So I would agree certainly with Dexter. And I also think Lorenzo Carter's like my guy. I know he was on his way to a breakout season last year, but he still wasn't putting up the pass rushing numbers like maybe you want your edge one to be. I think he gets a solid 8 sacks this year. Or I'm not going to look at him as maybe I would hope that we would eventually look at Azeez Ojulari as this team's best pass rusher, but I think the most overall complete edge rusher, where Lorenzo Carter could possibly deserve a contract extension at the end of this year, because this is his last year on his rookie deal.
Yeah, I was just going to say, for Lorenzo Carter, it's almost unfair to him how much we expect him to be edge one because of the way that room is, being a 3rd-round pick coming off the Achilles, but you could be a good player. Like, you don't have to have great players everywhere. And I know it would be nice to have a great edge. Lorenzo Carter could just be a really good, sound football player for this team. Like you said, get 7 sacks, 8 sacks, something like that. And it'd be really good. But I just think because of such a thirst and a need to have an old school edge pass rusher, I think Carter kind of gets unfairly painted by Giants fans sometimes.
Yeah, and it's just like like if he was drafted in the first round and this is what he was, I'd be like, you'd be pissed off. But it's like he wasn't. He was drafted in the 3rd round. It's like, this is usually what for a 3rd round, obviously got hurt last year. Like that's a success story. Like being able to play the majority of reps as a 3rd rounder for the most part usually means you're a success story. We'll get into some other questions. Okay, so we're talking about outside linebacker. How do you see that whole room playing out? Like, we're obviously Lorenzo Carter. Do you they listed O'Shane number 2? I don't know if that'll be for long. Like, how do you see that whole room, that rotation working? Because I feel like it could go a ton of different ways.
And I think it's going to depend on the game and depend on the matchup. And I think that is the beauty of Patrick Graham and I had to come to grips with this with baseball a long time ago, which was the idea of being able to sit there and name your lineup 1 through 9, like we used to be able to do as kids. Like, you knew Knobloch hit lead off for the Yankees, Jeter, what. You can't just assume, okay, well, I know my starting edge guys are going to be Lorenzo Carter, and they're going to be O'Shane Jimenez, or they're going to be obviously Azeez Ojulari. I think it's going to depend on the matchup. It's going to depend on the look. It's going to depend on the sets that teams are running. And I think obviously Lorenzo's going to get the most of those snaps. And I think they want Azeez, and by the end of the year, to kind of come along and be that guy. But obviously he's still young. He's still growing into his body. So I think this is an opportunity for O'Shane right off the bat to go in there and show his pass rushing ability, have that 3rd-round pick breakout ability. But honestly, it wouldn't shock me if he has a great game. He's the hot hand. Then another game he comes out slow for a couple series, and it's Quincy Roche who suddenly comes out of nowhere and has a big effort. Or you're getting more penetration from the middle with guys like Carter Coughlin and Tay Crowder, and all of a sudden you're in weird looks where it's a 4-3 and some of those guys are back on the outside. I just think Patrick Graham is such a menace and such a chess piece player that the standard, assuming it's always going to be that 3-4 with those 2 outside looks, could be different depending on the game, depending on the matchup.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see the new stuff Graham does now that he has Adoree Jackson, who seems like he's going to play. Here, I have this question for you. I don't think I know fully. Where are you at with Daniel Jones? Like, I know you're not a hater, because I would know that. No. But where are you at with Daniel Jones?
So I feel like I have the most grounded opinion of Daniel Jones, and that is this. If you are simply in a negative mindset of Daniel Jones and you're a Giant fan, okay. If you're a negative Daniel Jones naysayer, I think you're a guy who sits there and watches Red Zone and watches funny clips on Twitter every day, and you don't watch Giants football, because everybody drooling over Justin Herbert right now, Daniel Jones did that in 2019, but he just had the fumbles that made people forget all the good that he had. Like, if you look at all those big games that Justin Herbert had, he was being compared to who? Oh, he was the last quarterback to do this in his rookie year was Daniel Jones the year before. So we just threw out everything that he did with Pat Shurmur on the good, and he wasn't allowed to be talked about in the good because he had the fumble problem. Last year, he works on the fumble problem. In essence, goes away at times last year, even with a bad O-line. He has a couple bad interceptions, and the team just isn't challenging the ball down the field. So, look, I think it's perfectly okay to be critical of Daniel Jones. I think it's ridiculous to assume already that he stinks and he's not the answer. But I also think that all of those excuses go out the window when you have Kenny Golladay, Kadarius Toney, Sterling Shepard. You go down a line of all of the weapons they have this year. And at some point, look, you can't have 5 All-Pros on the offensive line and need that to be successful. So find a way, right? I mean, yes, okay, the Packers have had good offensive linemen over the years, but can you name all 5 of Aaron Rodgers' offensive linemen every single year? No. Like, at some point, if you're going to be a really good franchise quarterback, you can't allow those excuses to be a thing. I think that he's out of excuses this year. I don't want to hear about Jason Garrett. I don't want to hear about the offensive line. Go overcome it now in your 3rd year as a pro. And I think that he has the ability to do so because I think way too many people have hidden from the true positives that he's at least shown through 2 years that have existed before our eyes but get ignored for whatever reason.
Yeah, I think a lot of it just has to do with, like, what did you think about him pre-draft? And like, I'm guilty of that too. Like, I like Andrew Thomas more than the other tackles. So it's like, I want him to prove me right, you know?
Well, and Bobby, even when they get drafted by us, right, we want to believe in our guy. We don't want to just be negative all the time, right? So no matter what, you're going to talk about how you felt about Daniel Jones pre-draft, like, all right, even if I didn't want Daniel Jones as my guy, I knew I wanted a quarterback, so I trusted the organization in picking one. It's okay to want to believe in that guy and look at the positives, but it's just too much looking at the negatives with this fan base sometimes. It drives me nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. But if they win, it's like Jeter today, man. It's like, man, if you win in this city, it's like it just means more than other places.
Yeah.
And I agree with you 100%. I know we're talking about the Giants. Wednesday and mid-afternoon doing the Derek Jeter Hall. What is that? Like, we don't have time. Like, we're working. I was blown away. It's like they're just doing this in the middle of the day. It's like I couldn't watch it. I just watched some like Twitter clips and Instagram clips of it.
Yeah, I still got to watch the speech, but I discussed this morning when we were on the air. I said, you know, everybody wants to talk about, everybody said, well, it had to be moved this summer because of COVID concerns. Well, I mean, you had the Nassau Coliseum and the spring packed for Islander games in New York because this would have took place in New York. You had the Brooklyn Nets selling out the Barclays Center for the Buzz. Those are indoor events, so we couldn't get people to Cooperstown outside in the summer while Yankee Stadium and Citi Field was sold out. Makes no sense to me whatsoever. And oh, by the way, if you want to do it in September, why couldn't you do it tonight? What? Everybody's going to be in front of the TV watching America's game after they're watching this Talking Giants live stream? I mean, come on. Wednesday at 1:30. Derek Jeter has this great career with the steroid era, and we go Wednesday at 1:30 for him? Why even do Hall of Fame debates anymore if it matters that little?
Yeah, and didn't they not induct anybody from last year's class? Like,
right,
I remember us talking about it. It's like they didn't induct anybody, so it's not like you're having like to force all these like
or like how the NFL did with 2 nights back to back. You were in and out today in 45 minutes. I couldn't have been done tonight.
Yeah.
Or how about Saturday? Saturday at 4:00 before you do the Yankee Met September 11th game. That couldn't happen. Come on.
And I know what their excuse was like, well, we didn't want to do it during the games, but it's like, just do it during the games. And that will get people to watch the game the next night because baseball's on the mind. And then, like you meant, like I'm going to be tuning in. Like, I don't watch every Yankee game. I'm going to be tuning in Saturday night, you know, for the Yankees-Mets game. So
baseball does such a terrible job.
Record it and then put it on another time. Like, that's the alternative there, too.
Star. Thank you again. Report
nice
today
puppy.
that Thomas is hurt, with Solder getting the job of Pert initially. How worried should we be? What would be the worst case? I know Thomas was on there, but it's like Thomas is playing, you know, and I
don't really look at him as true.
Okay, so I'm not going to answer this question directly, but this is what my answer is going to be. And I put out a tweet like similar to this morning. I'm so tired of every slight injury being the issue for one offensive lineman being bad. Like, please stop. Matt Parrott isn't not starting because of his back. He hasn't missed a practice since he came back. Okay, so if he came off PUP last week, fine. But he's been there for a month practicing every single day.
Nate Solder has a more recent injury.
Yeah, Nate Solder missed like almost 2 weeks with a shoulder injury. And it's like, well, Nate Solder, he wasn't good in 2019 because of the ankle. And I'm a Thomas believer. you have never. I will never say that his issues last year were because of the ankle. They had nothing to do with the ankle. They were the same issues from his rookie season, and then he got better and he fixed them. So what? The ankle got better mid-year? No, he had surgery at the end of the year. So like I'm just so tired. Like that's why I said Will Hernandez and Nick Gates should get slight injuries. So if they play bad, they can just blame it on that.
And oh, by the way, we're worried about those injuries. We're starting a guard with a patellar tendon injury,
and he's not even on the report, which is crazy. And it's like a lot of people, including myself, probably think Bredesen should get the shot over him eventually. Okay. I just want to get that out there. It's like I'm so sick of it. Every bad player, like, oh well, I have a Nate Solder rant ready for our preview pod because he's not good, and I'm just like, where we don't want to bounce back to the year in 2017 where we had the 5th most pressures in the league. All right, I'm just going to read this one because it looks long. Wirfs is actually overrated because the rest of his line is so good, but if you actually watch his one-on-one matchups, he's an absolute beast with hand placement and has quick. Wirfs is a beast, but Brady being his QB does help a little bit. But I did watch Wirfs and he was a beast. Okay, hit us with some questions. We're at 25 minutes, so we'll go with Sean for another 5 minutes or so. What is your game day routine?
Oh yeah, yes. Tell me, or if you want to reveal it at all, because
that's fine. So are we talking? I have tickets to a game, which usually happens twice a year. You go to a home game or road game, or are we talking my home routine?
Let's say your home routine.
Okay, so early season home routine is easy. I wake up early in the morning. I play in the Long Island Flag Football League, so we usually have like a 9 a.m. kickoff or so. That kind of kills a little bit of the time, gets my football juices flowing. I usually get over to my father's early in the year because he has like an outdoor bar set up where we set up multiple TVs. We got the Sunday ticket going. I usually set everything up, and we have kind of like our inner circle. It's not like a talking thing where you want to come over and chit-chat all day. You got to be watching the games and ready to go. So by noon, I have all of that set up. We're figuring out the food situation, we're figuring out the beers, and then we go into bet placing for the day, whatever parlay we're playing, whatever bets. Me and my buddies or me and my brother-in-laws, whatever, go over all that. And then 1 o'clock, it's lock-in time, man. It's a couple beers, it's whatever snacks, it's sitting there and literally just living and dying with the Giants with the game sound on, the windows where they're not on. It's the Giants are 4 o'clock. It's a 1 o'clock game. It's all right, what bets are we doing? Rooting against Washington, rooting against Dallas, rooting against Philly. And basically the day culminates in me feeling like absolute garbage because I've inhaled way too many calories by about halftime of the Sunday night game. I get the Sunday night scaries and realize I got to wake up at 4 a.m. and do radio the next day, and I start gathering my thoughts and try to avoid flipping out after another Giant loss. So that has been my routine at least over the last 4 years. And then the second half of the year gets colder out. We go over to my house. I have a man cave where I have the Giants man cave here. I have multiple TVs set up, and I kind of make it an indoor sports bar, so to speak, and that's where we hang out and watch the game.
You mentioned avoid flipping out, which leads me to will be my final question. You first came on my radar on a rant about Pat Shurmur. How do you feel about facing him this week? Do you think he thought about you this week? Because there's no way he didn't see that clip. He's like, I'm just gonna shove it in Shaun Morash's face. So
here's a humble brag for me. If you go back to this year when the Bucs won the Super Bowl, Tom Brady put out a stupid video where he was like, here's a message for all my haters. And it was like all shots of him throwing big touchdown passes. And it was all clipping tweets from like 6 different people in the media, from Max Kellerman to Stephen A. And somehow he included me in this.
Really? You got to send me this. I've never seen that.
I will. It was a tweet from me because I also write a column for CBS how, you're an idiot if you think Tom Brady's not finished. I really thought Brady was finished last year. And
I did too.
I looked at that and I said, if you need to use me for motivation at any point or need to troll me, you've run out of ideas. So if Pat Shurmur now is using me, I mean, really, I would embrace that full circle. But I'll tell you this about facing Pat Shurmur. I loved Pat Shurmur as an offensive caller. I loved him as an offensive coordinator. I just thought he was a lousy leader of men at the head coach spot. So, look, honestly, I'd be psyched right now if it was Joe Judge as the head coach and Pat Shurmur as the offensive coordinator. So, if Pat Shurmur's thinking about me, that's great. But I'm not necessarily fearful because I'm not a big Teddy Bridgewater believer. But I think Pat Shurmur's a good offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. These guys see everything. And he 100% is thinking about your video this week. So that might have been the most brutal, because the Giants were, no one was. Pat Shurmur didn't ruffle any feathers on the outside like a Judge would, where if Judge is bad, there'll be a lot of I told you so's. And Shurmur, I almost think he was just I'm just not going to try and bother anybody.
Yeah. Well, and I met him at a couple training camp interviews and stuff where we covered him for the Fan, and he was a really nice man. And a couple of times I would pull him to the side after and kind of joke like, "Hey, Pat, this has really got to be, those 2 years he was there. This really got to be. Don't worry, Sean, we got it all taken." And that's what really set me off when it's Halloween and we're buried again. That's where I lose it. You're full of crap again in August. I bought in. You ruined the Beckham era at the end. I couldn't take it anymore, Sherman.
Just bizarre. He never seemed like like you said, a leader of men. Never seemed like a leader of men.
And it was the adult in the room crap from Gettleman really set me off. When this is a real, because it was taking shots at McAdoo that he was an adult in the room, an adult in the room, an adult in the room. Well, what does that matter if you can't, like, you literally cannot adjust in game to anything going on? It was just, it's a mess. But again, any excuse for any head coach of the Giants is your offensive line stinks. So how about adjust something? Figure out a way, some way, Daniel. Like, I'll tell you right now, we all love Joe Judge. If it's halftime and it's Chubb or Miller and they're beating the crap out of Nate Solder and we're not figuring out a way to have Kyle Rudolph or Caden Smith or anything chip, and we just allow the second half to continue like that, and Joe Judge shows no second half adjustments, it's going to bother me too, and my clock will start ticking on him as well. Adjust in game. These guys had such a bad problem doing that.
Oh, yeah, if the Giants don't win this year, Joe Judge will be on the hot seat.
Yeah,
that's like my fear.
By the way, win this year. We're all negative about week one. This team should be 3-1 after their first 4 games. Like, that's how positive I felt about this roster. Like, not forget, like, being eliminated for Halloween. Like, if you really are something this year, these are the easy games. Look at these first 4 games. And don't give me that you can't beat Washington. It's the only team Jones does beat. And the Saints, well, they're on Michael Thomas and Jameis Winston play quarterback. We're going to assume that's another New Orleans ass kicking. Give me a break.
I actually have the Saints as the biggest team that's going down this year. I think they're the high expectation team that's going to play way lower. And actually, in the division, I think the Panthers are going to surprise people a little bit. Hopefully not versus us, but I do think the Panthers will be all right. All right, Sean, where can people find your podcast, your radio show, everything? Your Twitter?
Yeah, check me out on Twitter, @MorazCBS. Yes, that's not my real last name. It's a long-winded radio nickname that came over the years, MRAZCBS. You go to the Odyssey app, check out Gee Whiz. It is a really cheesy name. I understand that, but I'm kind of cheesy and I like it. And plus, let's be honest, simple names like Talking Giants were already taken when my company put into me doing the podcast. So it's Gee Whiz. We talk Giants football there, 25 minutes a week. Have some fun, break down the games, look into it just like you guys do at Talking Giants. You can catch me on the Fan every Sunday, sometimes every other Sunday, depending on what time the Giants are happening. I'll be on in 2 weeks following the Jets-Patriot game, even though the Giants are a Thursday night game as well. And every morning on the DA show, 6 to 10 a.m. Eastern on the Odyssey app, CBS Sports Radio Sirius XM 206, where hopefully we won't have many Giant losses to react to on Mondays where I lose my freaking mind.
I appreciate you, Sean. This will be my final question because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. Did anyone say anything about my David Sills joke? I don't want to. No. I don't want to. Okay.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. In fact, you guys did get positive reviews specifically for that spot because, like we mentioned, we were on in the MetLife Stadium concourse when you guys were on as people were entering the stadium, including a couple of my dad's friends who had sweet tickets who texted my dad and said he had a good interview with these 2 guys who do a Giants podcast. So they reacted and heard it well. So while everybody was getting their first beers and going for warm-ups, our interview was being played at MetLife Stadium as people entered. So a lot of Giants fans actually heard that, and nobody reacted negatively to a terrorist joke. So it made out okay.
All right, Sean. All right, thanks again.
Thank you, Sean.
All right, go Big Blue. Take care, guys.
All right, that was cool. Sean's our guy. Go check out his podcast and everything.
I am slightly relieved to find that nothing happened with that.
Yeah, and it's like I really don't worry. You know me, Justin. I do not care about backlash. Like we talked about the horse video that we thought about because we're gonna do the Good Morning stuff a little bit this year, and it's like I would have no problem dealing with the backlash of that. It's just like I don't feel like getting other people involved, and it just always happens. So, all right, so we got some stuff. We're gonna go another 15 minutes or so. I didn't want to, that was more interview like, so I didn't want to do all the super chats on him. So we'll get to some of those. And who do you want to replace Garrett? I don't want anybody to replace Garrett. I want Garrett to be good this year. Let's. That was an off-season conversation. I want Garrett to be good this year. I'm giving Garrett a fair shot.
Yeah.
Tom Thies says skinny Patrick Graham looks 17-year-old. So I ask questions and not just super chats. I'm just catching up on the super chats. We answered that question.
Tired.
Tuto salute, talking Giants. Drop by your office to pay our proper respects, and for all Giants fans around the world, slap all stinky Eagles fans losers. Speaking of international, tomorrow, Ruben didn't tell me the time. Sometime between noon and 2, we will be having our Hablando Gigantes con Zono Gigantes. If you speak Spanish and you're a Giants fan, or you have some friends who speak Spanish, maybe they're getting into football and need a team, there's a Spanish speaking Giants podcast. We are very close with them. They do a great job. So they're going to be on our channel doing a live stream tomorrow. So make sure to check that out. When does Patrick Graham get a head coaching job? I hope he never. I hope he was being completely honest. And I hope that NFL teams are just like, we're not going to hire defensive coaches. We only want to hire offensive coaches. That is my hope to keep Patrick Graham. Like that is.
It's strange that Wink Martindale's never gotten a head coaching job yet.
Yeah, I could also see Wink though being like, maybe he's not head coach material. Even though I did advocate for him. Let's see. Let's get into some of these questions. Oh, there was a good one. CeeLo Ren. Important question, guys. Do you really feel comfortable with Glennon going in as a backup QB? I know, God forbid, if DJ goes down, but don't you think we're in big trouble? I think that most backup QBs aren't going to be good QBs, and I am like, if I went through every other team in the leagues, their backup QB situation, I probably would feel better with Mike, like Taylor Heineke. I mean, he did a little decent, but like Mike Glennon has had better games than Taylor Heineke did in that game. The Cowboys, who's their backup? Like Ben DiNucci or something? Like
DiNucci got cut, but yeah.
Maybe Garrett Gilbert. Like I feel better about him. The Eagles, Gardner Minshew I'd rather have than Joe Flacco, but than Mike Flynn, but they had to trade a pick to be their backup QB. And I am a big believer of if you're not a Super Bowl contender, not investing a ton in your backup QB. If you are contending for a Super Bowl, yes. If you're contending for like a playoff spot like the Giants, I would put resources elsewhere. So yeah,
Giants also have like negative cap space right now, where there's probably still things that they need to do to get under the cap. So they just have no other wiggle room to. I'm not saying to get a backup quarterback now. But I'm saying even over the offseason, like to invest any more backup quarterback they just can't do it. So
yeah, I mean Mike Glennon's got arm talent. That's really I think Mike Glennon is probably one of the better backup QBs in the league. Which Mike Glennon is not a good QB. Well, that's because there's most starting QBs aren't good. So
yeah,
someone said Cam Newton.
There's like 7 really good quarterbacks in the NFL, and then a lot of them are like the mid tier are very close to each other, and then the bottom tier is the bottom tier. So
yeah. How do you think the competition with Rudolph and Ingram will go? I'm very interested to see what this offense looks like without Ingram and with Rudolph and Caden. Like, does this prove a lot of people right and being like that Ingram is a net negative?
I think it will, because when you don't have a liability out there, we talked about that Patriots preseason game, and but what if Devontae Booker punches it in from the 1-yard line and Daniel Jones doesn't throw that interception? Well, that was kind of on Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram's guy who he was blocking on that right side, he gave I don't want to give it Evan Ingram's not a good blocker. That's not because he doesn't try. He really does try to be a good blocker, but he doesn't have the size of a Caden Smith, of a Kyle Rudolph. He's not your prototypical, stereotypical tight end, and that's not on him. It's just the way that things are, and it's the way that his career's kind of gone. So we knew that when we drafted him. So I don't know. I don't understand why the Giants just continually use him as a blocking tight. Like, you're on the 1-yard line. You are on the 1-yard line. Why are you relying on Evan Ingram as a blocking tight end? Yeah, okay, so you want to have the illusion of a pass. I think there's a better chance that Caden Smith or I know Kyle Rudolph wasn't playing, but if this does happen during the regular season, I think there's a much better chance of Caden Smith and Kyle Rudolph coming down with the red zone grab, jump ball, something, or getting open in the red zone, in the end zone, rather than Evan Ingram. Like, do not have Evan Ingram out there in big jumbo sets on the goal line.
I agree. I agree 100% with that. Kyle Rudolph has less negatives than Evan Ingram, but Evan Ingram has that one positive of athleticism, and that's the thing that we've fallen. It's the reason why big arm QBs, like everyone, like it's the reason why there's big arm QBs. People they give them longer leashes because it's like does he make horrible decisions? But look at this beautiful throw.
But he runs a straight line very fast. I mean, that's the thing. He runs a straight line and he runs it fast.
Yes. Subscribe to the new Talking Football channel. I just dropped the link.
I want to talk about that for a quick second.
All right, go for it.
I want to talk about that for a quick second. So yesterday and today, I started to just post Talking Football videos. I hope you can go check it out. Top 5 and 1 worst series. So yesterday was quarterbacks. Today was running backs. Tomorrow will be wide receivers, and then edge rushers will be on Friday to kind of cap off the week to get ready. So we're going to start posting more to Talking Football. It's not going to be like a formal podcast, but we're going to try and do the things that you normally do to build up YouTube channels. It's reaction videos and getting stuff out first, live streaming for extended periods of time. And then Bobby will be doing, and I think I'll also be doing some other supplemental content and videos too. Bobby will be doing offensive line stuff. I'll be doing some analytics stuff with maybe some quarterbacks every week. So we're going to have a lot of fun with Talking Football, and we're going to try to grow it before we actually start a podcast, which will be eventually.
What did you think about my comment on your LinkedIn today?
Oh, stunting on him?
Yeah.
It's what we were doing. It's what we're doing.
I know. I love it. I love not taking LinkedIn serious. It really bothers people, and that's why I love it. If you go to my LinkedIn, it's like you'll look at all the John Boy Media employees, like editor, producer, content creator, president, CEO, and mine is stunting at John Boy Media.
Yeah.
So there's
is very formal.
I need to change my profile picture. It's the one with me when in a shirt and tie. I need to get rid of that.
Yeah. Gotta put the hair in there.
All right, so we'll do a few more questions. We'll go for another 10 minutes.
Is that the Giants license plate guy? Yes.
Will we get Danny King weather reports? Yes, I am very excited to record the podcast tomorrow night. I am very, very excited for that. Oh my God, I'm pumped just thinking about recording for tomorrow. McKinney, next star up and coming. I think he has, like, out of all the guys that aren't stars right now, who's like, who could be a star? It probably is McKinney, right?
Yeah, it's just tough because I was talking. We just went on Mike Too Nice's channel for a hot sec, and I had the thought of, if McKinney's going to be playing free safety, it's going to be tough for him to be like a well-known star. Where I think Giants fans could definitely fall in love with them, but a lot of fans don't really know that Julian Love was like 3rd or 4th on. I think he was 4th. He was 4th in the team in tackles last year. Like there was a point in the offseason or during the regular season that I didn't even know that was just something that I was just scrolling through. It's like, oh, Julian Love had that many tackles. It's because when you're playing that free safety spot, it's tough for you to kind of get involved in like the TV screen. Whereas Jabril Peppers is a guy who plays in the box and he's kind of everywhere and anywhere. So if Xavier McKinney plays free safety, it'll be tough for him, I think, to be just a well-known, highly regarded fan favorite. But that doesn't mean that he won't be a good player.
Did you watch Kadarius Toney's presser at all today?
No, but I heard he made a joke about, yeah, I mean, I should play. There's going to be no reason he said something funny.
I know I would get along well with Kadarius Toney. And I know the last person I said that about was DeAndre Baker, but I know that Kadarius Toney and me would have a good time together. Like I just know, like he cracks me up. I really like Kadarius Toney.
I got the quote. Kadarius Toney, and this is from our friend Pat Leonard. Kadarius Toney says he's healthy and ready. Physically, yeah, I'm good. COVID, yeah, I'm good. Will he play? Really on the coaches. I'm just here to do my job, whatever they say. Any reason he wouldn't play? Nah, I mean, unless you want to go make one up.
Yeah, so I like him. You can tell he's just ready to laugh at all moments. And I like people like that. Tuto, again, thank you again. What would Giants organization get in returns if they traded Evan Ingram and Eli Penny? Just 2 pennies.
Wow, that's really funny.
Corny.
I'm serious. Tuto. I'm serious. That actually did make me smile.
It's a dad joke, so that's why you like it more than I. But I do love Tuto.
I am an old man.
It's a Dory 100%. I don't know, but I'm 100% confident that he'll be playing. Kenny Galladay is going to do damage. Dude, I cannot wait to see what Kenny Galladay and I know that's where I'm getting back excited. It's like, you know what? We did add pieces. This team did get better off over the offseason. So even if it's like with low expectations of certain aspects of the offense, we did add guys, and those guys aren't going to do nothing. So I'm so excited for what Kenny Galladay, Toney, and Saquon is like a free agent addition or a draft pick. He is an addition, and I just can't wait to see those guys make plays, because that's what all 3 of those guys are. They are playmakers, and I believe they will. I believe each one of them will have a big play on Sunday. How about that?
Kenny Galladay and Kadarius Toney. Maybe, Kadarius Toney to once the season kind of gets going. But Kenny Galladay is the best wide receiver that Daniel Jones has ever thrown to.
He's the best advantage he's ever had in his career. If you go Duke, a lot of are college receivers as good as NFL? No. But compared to the rest of the competition, he's the best. He is the best advantage he's ever had at wide receiver.
Yeah.
Let's see, what do we got? Tuto again, man. Tuto, keep your money in your own pocket, all right? We're all current pro rugby players with MMA and combat training. The smallest and shortest dude among us is 6'2", 235. Wow. That's still pretty small to me, though. I'm 6'7". All right. Clyde Frog says, my favorite hog molly is take your shirts off. No, we can't. We will not. We will not, because we're hog mollies and we don't do that. Just a warning. Screenshots live forever.
Demonetized.
Which, by the way, I forgot to monetize this until 5 minutes into the video, and I went into the YouTube studio and monetized it. Big Blue in the Bronx, our guy. Talking Giants, according to Paul Dottino, I don't know if y'all talked about it, the patella tendon Lemieux injury is unconfirmed and a rumor right now. He's basing it as a knee injury, as he is limited in practice.
Paul
I believe it.
You believe that?
No, I believe that the injury is real.
Oh, yeah, I also believe the injury is real.
Yeah, I don't believe anything. I don't believe Paul Dottino. He's paid by the team.
Paul sometimes has a very convoluted view of the world.
Unblock me, Paul. Barkley at Penn State ran Wildcat. He scored 95% of the time. I'd like to see that with the Giants. I'm actually kind of out on the Wildcat in the NFL because you're just going to run it every time, and it gives them an extra defender in the box to defend the run. So
yeah,
I'm just kind of out on the Wildcat.
Yeah, running the ball is not efficient anyway. So
Christopher Sarton says there's a reason Detroit let Galladay walk, and there's a reason Green Bay let Blake Martinez walk, and there's a reason that the Panthers let James Bradbury walk. So miss me with that argument. Wonder if Pat Shurmur will get boos or some light cheers. I don't think he's really going to get acknowledged much at all.
No,
he's not the head coach.
The Giants aren't going to have a. I almost just dropped an F-bomb. The Giants are going to have a video for him. Thank you, Pat Shurmur. They're going to have.
We should. That would be funny to make one. But most people would not understand the joke.
I'll tweet out a GIF. Should I tweet it out now or should I tweet it out Sunday? I have a GIF of him hugging Jones or something.
Yeah,
or him hugging Golden Tate. I think I have that.
People can't make me hate Pat Shurmur. I don't care. Giants will.
I got pizza.
I'm not doing drafts. I'm not doing draft questions.
No, please.
Tuto, I'm going to just start ignoring you because I don't like that you're spending all your money. I was 10 years old when Coach Coughlin took over the New York Giants and loved the fact the way he changed the entire New York Giants culture overnight. Preach, Tuto, preach.
I would agree.
Keep your damn money to yourself, Tuto. You spent $20 on us, man. Go spend $20 on whatever.
Arizona iced teas.
Yeah, go get 80 Shastas. It's a really inside joke between me and my brothers because when my brother got $10 as a kid, 9 years old, he's like, I can buy 36 Shastas because they came the 4-pack and
what are Shastas?
Well, it's like store brand Coca-Cola.
It's a Florida thing,
or it might even be Walmart's brand. I don't know. Well, no, it might have been the old Walmart brand of Coca-Cola. So anytime, it's just we still give them shit for it and been like, dude, you got $300, you could buy 1,200 Shastas with that, and it never gets old for me. Shastas. Okay, we're at 48 minutes, so we're gonna go again.
Pizza.
Subscribe to the Talking Football channel. We'll be live there tomorrow for the game.
Yes.
If you would like to be with us for our pregame, actually, you know what? I'm not going to plug the Patreon right now. We're plugging Talking Football.
No.
Andrew Christopher says Shasta's a national brand. It is. I knew it was. Shasta was sold around in the DC. Yeah, it's Shasta. I wonder. I'm going to Google Shasta.
Sounds like a brand of a shank. Shasta the shank.
Shanks don't have brands. Shanks are it's like a homemade knife.
I know.
It's still out there. It's an American soft drink manufacturer that markets a value-price soft drink line with a wide variety of soda flavors as well as a few drink mixers under the brand name Shasta. The company name is derived from Mount Shasta in Northern California and the associated Shasta Springs. Here's a fun fact. Where do you think Zephyr Hills is based out of? Like where are the Zephyr Hills Springs?
Colorado.
Tampa.
Yeah, sure.
I'm serious. It's like right below. It's right next to Tampa, which I didn't know that until like 5-6 years ago. It's like these are the springs near Tampa. Shasta's at a lot of dollar stores, and you can see that we went to the dollar store a lot as a kid. All right. We appreciate you guys. Tomorrow, tune in the Zona Guntas if you speak Spanish. If you don't, go hit a thumbs up on it. Hit a thumbs up on this video too. Why don't you?
Try to learn Spanish. Try to see if you can hear and understand what they're talking about.
I almost just said a really bad Spanish word, and I would have got myself canceled. I almost called you it.
You probably deserve it.
It's just a really bad word.
There's nothing you could say to me right now. I'm about to go eat pizza, so my mood is okay.
And Friday we'll have our Giants preview podcast out. I'm very excited. So appreciate you guys. Let's win. See you guys next time. Let's go, Big Blue.